Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Okay, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is a question and answer session for school, SKOOL, and this is the CPS school.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Join our school community for free to access weekly live Q&A sessions, or participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.
Good evening. Cherry, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Cherry, first I have to say something off topic here. Grace, that's the first time I've seen that introduction. That was really good. Thank you very much. Okay. Cherry, you're in Los Angeles, California, right?
Yes.
You have a CPS case in Monterey Park, right?
Yes.
How long has the case been open?
It'll be 3 years in May.
Wow, 3 years, that's a long time. When's your next court date?
My next court date is February, I think, 12th.
What type of hearing is it?
It is it's a permanency hearing.
Okay.
A
Have
continued permanency.
Okay,
We had the permanency, and they continued it for another 3 months.
Have you ever heard the term 366.26 hearing?
Yes.
Is that the type of permanency planning hearing it is?
No, it's they're trying to adopt. They're trying to terminate my rights and adopt my son out.
Okay, have you lost your family reunification services already?
They terminated family reunification in August.
Okay, so let me tell you this. The type of hearing that you are about to have is pursuant to Welfare and Institutions Code Section 366.26. Hey, Grace, can you stop that music, please? It's kind of distracting. It's pursuant to Welfare and Institutions Code Section 366.26. The type of hearing that it is to select the best permanent plan for your child, and it's called a selection and implementation hearing. It's not the permanency hearing. The permanency hearing actually took place at the hearing where you lost your family reunification services. Okay? How old is the child?
He is 6.
Okay. And who is he living with? Foster parents or relatives?
Paternal grandparents.
Do you get along with them or no?
We are cordial, and I'm respectful, and they're respectful to me. They instigated a lot of this case, but I don't bring that up because they monitor visits, so I just make sure that I have a successful visit, and so we get along.
Where's the father?
He is not in the picture. He has not decided not to reunify. His rights were terminated. I don't know.
Okay.
He's not around.
Okay. So I bet you'd like an overall plan on how to stop this adoption or termination of your rights. Okay.
Yes.
Don't take notes because this is recorded and Grace is going to send you a copy of this so you can watch it over and over. But I'm going to tell you how to do it. All right. Do you have a
Okay.
court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think your attorney will be able to help you or be reluctant to help you?
She was assigned a couple court dates, and I believe that she will help me.
Okay,
I don't
perfect.
believe that she's not a dependency attorney. She's an outside attorney, so I don't think that she's she's uh, she's not experienced. You can tell, but she's willing to help.
Okay, well, I hope she's a dependency attorney or you're behind the 8 ball because you're gonna
Yeah.
need an experienced, dependency attorney. The number one thing you need to do is or your attorney needs to do is file a motion for what's called a bonding study, okay?
Okay.
The number one defense to have your parental rights not terminated is to prove that there is a relationship between you and the child such that it would be detrimental to the child for the rights to be terminated. The best way to do that is get an expert, usually a psychologist, that will do a bonding study between you and the child. Sometimes the
Okay.
judge will also include the foster parents and have the bonding person say which would be better, you know, you or the grandparents, right?
Okay.
The second thing that you want to do is you want to file a 388 petition to request further family reunification services or liberalize visitation or return of the child to your home. A 388 petition usually and should consist of the following. Number one, the 388 form that you can get online. It's about 4 pages long, but that's not the only thing you need. You need evidence, your declaration, witness's declaration that can support your request for further services or placement or visitation. Let me give you an example. Number one would be your declaration. Number two would be the declaration of any service providers, like a parenting instructor, a counseling instructor, a drug rehab person, or a domestic violence counselor, that type of thing. If you had
Okay.
drug testing, you would also want to include all of your negative drug tests. I'm not saying that that was an issue in your case, but if it was, okay,
Yeah.
so I've just told you about 4 or 5 different declarations you have. Generally, the 388s that I see that people prepare on their own don't have any of that, okay?
Okay.
The next thing
Okay.
you wanna do is you probably wanna include some pictures or videos of you and the child, such that it will show the judge the relationship. Sometimes pictures are better than words, right?
Right.
So you wanna show those types of pictures, or videos.
Okay.
The last thing you want to include, and I never see this, rarely, are legal points and authorities. They are points and authorities that establishes what the law is in this area, statutes and case law, and does usually a comparison and contrasting of cases where the court said, yeah, you should have given this kid back, or yeah, you should have given the mom more reunification services, and compare the facts in that case to the facts in your case. Okay.
Okay.
That tends to be very persuasive with judges because judges don't want to do something that is going to end up, maybe they get reversed on appeal.
Right.
Judges are just like any other employee in life. They're looking to move up in the judge world. They're looking to make more money. They're looking to get promoted. Making decisions that are where they get reversed by the Court of Appeal don't help that, right?
Right. Right.
You want to do the points and authorities, the legal points and authorities. And as I recall, there are a number of published cases in California where the court has said, yes, you should have given this woman more reunification services. Yes, you should have liberalized her visitation. Yes, you should have returned the child to her. So those are the types of things that you want to focus on the 388. By the way, when your rights were terminated, did you and your attorney file an appeal, what's called a writ, the special writ?
We filed
Hold
an
on,
appeal. I
hold
thought
on, hold on. The answer is yes or no.
we started to, but then the appellate attorney said she wasn't going to file it 2 weeks before the due date. and then she didn't. I asked her for the documents, and then I wrote her a couple letters, and she never got back to me. Oh, and the 60 days passed, and so I don't know what happened.
Okay, first of all, it's not 60 days.
It's not?
No. When your when your family reunification services are terminated, I think you have 7 days or 10 days, I forget the number, in which to file a form called Notice of Intent to File a Writ.
We
Once you
filed that.
once you file that, the record is prepared, and then the Court of Appeals tells you, hey, your brief is due in X number of days. So I don't
Yes.
know what happened. And, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what the case is, many years ago, the court ruled that the attorney responsible to file the brief is your court-appointed attorney in the trial court. Before that, you could get a free appellate attorney from where you are. It would be the California Appellate Project for the Second District. They'd give you a free appellate attorney. But that was taxing on the court's budget. So in my opinion, the court decided, well, your trial court attorney has the responsibility to prepare and file that writ. And unfortunately, your trial attorney's law firm has limited resources. So sometimes, for whatever reason, they don't file that writ. And if you don't
Okay.
file it, you lose your rights. Now, I've heard recently there can be certain cases where you can say, hey, judges in the appellate court, my attorney didn't file this, and I told her, or I was told it would be done. Will you let me file a late brief with a new attorney or another court-appointed firm? So you may want to look into that. That's
Okay.
an important thing to do. And the reason why is you might win, but even if you don't win, you get a chance, because the court makes a decision and they write it out. You'll get a feeling why or how the Court of Appeals, at least, is looking at your case. And that'll give you some insight going forward to your 2-6 hearing and setting it up for appeal in case you get your rights terminated. Does that make sense?
No, that does make sense. I was wondering about that. If I could.
Okay.
Yeah. No, thank you.
So in order to file the 388, one of the things you have to do is make a list of everything the court ordered you to do to reunify. Usually that's in the disposition case plan. Sometimes it's added to or amended in the 6-month hearing and at the 12-month hearing. So you need to get that checklist, and you need to go ahead and present evidence. For example, a judge ordered that you complete a domestic violence class. Well, you better have your certificate and your completion letter to file the
Okay.
388. Judge ordered you to do parenting courses or parenting class, same thing. Have your certificate or your letter of completion. Judge ordered you to do substance abuse counseling. You better have the letter and the certificate from the drug program. Judge ordered you to do individual counseling to address blah, blah, blah. Better have that letter of completion from the therapist. And also, you want to make sure that the counselors can say truthfully that not only did you complete it, but you learned something from it.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of social workers say, oh, he was ordered to do anger management, but he hasn't internalized it, so we're not going to give him the kid back. So you want to make sure that you're internalizing that. Okay. Now, in that introduction that Grace just played before we started this video, there's a woman saying thank you to me. In that case, in that video, I described to her exactly what she should do on a daily basis to get the child back. Okay? It's just more than just saying that you're going to the class or showing up at the class, because what's going to happen if the social worker doesn't want you to have this child back? They're going to say, oh, you know what? Cherry went to parenting, but she didn't learn shit. And you're like,
Okay.
wait a minute, I learned something. Right. And then your attorney may put you on the stand, and the first thing somebody's going to ask you, including the judge, well, Sherry, what did you learn in parenting? And you're not prepared for that. And you're like, judge says, okay, you didn't learn anything in parenting, so we're not going to count that parenting certificate.
Right.
There's a lot of ways to combat. It gets kind of complicated. I won't say complicated. It gets kind of involved, and on a step-by-step connecting the dots level that a lot of people don't think about. That's why in that video, I think I spoke to that lady for about 30 minutes and I told her exactly what to do, how to win at a 6-month hearing date, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I even surprised myself because I had never thought of the case in those terms. And I've been doing this over 30 years, 35 years, right?
Right.
And I told Grace, my producer, I said, you know what, we should probably do a video and let that out into the world and have people on YouTube look at that because it's really, really informational. And it's really, really tells you some things that you need to do. But I'm telling you what to do now because you're heading to this 366.26 hearing. So get your 388 together. I'm a
Okay.
little bit concerned that you said your attorney is not experienced because she's not going to know what I'm trying to tell you to do. All right.
I-
I,
Okay.
I look, I've been, for over 35 years, I've been seeing and working with attorneys that are new to dependency. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of intricacies in a dependency case, CPS case that, everyone doesn't know.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you may want to talk to your attorney about that. Your attorney will have a supervisor. Maybe that supervisor will help you as well. I know some of the supervisors in some of these court appointed firms will, bend over backward. It's the squeaky wheel gets the oil
Good
type of
oil.
deal.
Yes.
Or you may consider hiring, a private attorney that has a lot of experience because this may be one of your last stands. Okay.
Right.
A lot of people come to me and say, they say they're going to take my kid away permanently and somebody's going to adopt them. They can't really do that, can they? Yes, they can.
Yes, they
And they
can.
do it
Right.
every day all over this country. Okay. And they do it every day
Okay.
in that courthouse you go to in Monterey Park. So
Yes.
don't think they won't do it. They will do it. And sometimes I get the feeling there's an incentive for them to do it, financially speaking, with federal money and everything.
Right.
So do what you have to do. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Certainly.
Uh,
Did you have any other questions?
um, no, that was a lot of information. It was very helpful. I knew about the 388, but knowing exactly how to prepare and to what evidence to attach just really helps. I think that's um, there was some evidence that hasn't been presented in the like my program completions and stuff that weren't, I don't think, presented correctly to the judge, that I think that in the 388 I can represent them correctly, um, and have them presented to the judge and everything. So that was very helpful.
Okay, so
Thank you.
there's one thing that you're welcome. There's one thing I want to tell you. On these videos and in my YouTube channel, I talk a lot about the what. Okay, you and I basically had a conversation about the what. The important thing, and we talked maybe 5-10% of it tonight, is the how. Okay,
Right.
the how is you have to not only know the law, which is the what, you have to know evidence and you have to know procedure. Okay, you have to know how to orally argue something. You have to know how to do the trial because at the 388 stage, if the judge grants you a hearing, you got to have a trial. See, 388 is written like this. You turn in the 388. The first thing the judge decides is whether you can have a trial or not on the 388. He or she could just outright deny your 388 and never let you in court on it. Then what do? You appeal. But if you get a hearing, when what a lot of judges do, different judges do this, they'll have a hearing where you and your attorney can come and argue and present evidence on why you should have a hearing. Not that you should get the child back or get more reunification services or get more liberalized visits, but should you even have a hearing to get that? If they say no, you have appeal it. If they say yes, you got to go to the next hearing, the trial, and you actually have to win, right?
Okay.
See,
Right.
see how far removed that is from just filing the 388? You got to
Right.
have a trial to win. And at that trial, usually, well, all the time, the county is against you and
Hmm.
their attorney. Usually, the minor's attorney is against you with the minor's attorney, and if there's a father around, he may or may not be on your side. So typically, the worst case scenario, you'll be at this trial on your 388 and it'll be 3 against 1.
Right.
I don't care how good a lawyer is. They better be really good to beat 3 attorneys and a judge who may be leaning against you to begin with. Okay? So don't just
Okay.
think, "Oh, I'm gonna file a 388. Boom, I win. I get my kid back. I get more FR services." That's not how it works.
Right. It's an
Okay?
uphill.
Right. So remember, we talked about the what. We haven't talked how. That's a whole different conversation, and it's a very, I won't say complicated, but it's a very long conversation.
Okay.
A lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, Mr. Davis, I filed the 388." And I'm thinking to myself, I bet you did it the wrong way. And then, of course, they tell me, "Yeah, I just filed the form, the 4-page form, and they're missing so much." And then when the 388 is denied, they can't have a hearing. They're wondering, why can't I have a hearing? Must be corrupt.
Right.
And I think, no, must be that you didn't do it the right way.
Right. There's no
I had an
evidence.
interesting, yeah, I had an interesting conversation with someone today, on the phone, and this was her position. I didn't do what was legally necessary to win, but the judge should have seen that I was right and ruled in my favor. Okay. And by the way, there are some judges who are very liberal and who would do that, who might do that. But the probabilities are most judges are following the law to the T. And the application of that law to the T is that you're going to lose because you didn't prove your case.
Right.
And when you have a 388, you have to prove your case. You being the mother is nothing. It means nothing. A lot of people think, I'm the mother, I should at least get the kid back, get more FR services. That's not even the law.
Right.
I have a YouTube video, and I think it's called "What is Justice?" Okay, it's a 7-minute video. And I explain to people what they believe justice is and what real justice is. And you're going to be shocked. Okay, it's not what you think. So, judges are operating on real justice. You're operating on, justice in
Right.
your heart and what you heard for the
Right.
last 30
What we
years of
feel
your life.
justice is. Right.
Right. So,
Right.
look, these are the most important cases you'll ever be involved in. Try to educate yourself, try to work with your attorney or get one that's, competent. And because this is it. Those
Right.
grandparents will take that kid and adopt that kid and cut you out of the picture and move on. And then you and your kid have to deal with it when he turns 18. Because there are going to be ramifications, right? Negative ramifications that we don't seem to want to address or believe right now.
Right.
I think adoption by especially relatives, grandparents, is probably not a good idea. I was raised by my grandparents. No
Yeah.
guardianship, no adoption, right? And at least my father was always involved. But I think that what we're doing now is taking away kids from parents and adopting them out in order to save money.
Mm.
Okay. When Clinton became president and Hillary back then, they came up with a law that changed
Right.
everything. It changed
That made it
everything.
easier.
And it made it much easier for people to adopt out your kids, because what was happening is grandma was taking the kid, taking legal guardianship, and they had to pay grandma for the next, 18 years if it was a baby. And that was going on nationwide, you know.
Right.
So they said, "Oh, let's make grandma adopt the kid. We'll give her money for 2 years, and then we cut her loose and she's on her
On her
own."
own. Yeah.
Right. Because she adopted the kid. A lot
Right.
of foster parents tell me, "Oh, the social worker told me I'd get adoptions assistance until the kid turned 18." That's a lie. That's not right lie that
Wow.
that the social worker is telling you. Most foster parents don't even realize this, but they sign an agreement that after a certain amount of time, adoptions assistance will stop. But
Mm.
it's one of those short agreements and they just push it in front of your nose and they say, "Oh, sign
Right.
here." Don't have to read it. Like, have you ever bought a
Right.
car and the
Yeah.
guy's
You just
having you sign, 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 sign. You don't know what the hell you're signing, right?
right.
It's the- to me, it's the same thing, right? And
Right.
many years ago, because this happened in like early '90s, I think, um, a foster parent tried to sue the social worker for lying to her. And the judge was like, "Well, wait a minute. You signed this piece of paper. You knew
Right. They
that it
disclosed
could
it.
happen." "Well, I didn't read it, and she told me something different." Well, that's not what the paper says,
Right.
right? So, anything else for me this evening on our office hours?
No, just well, I have a question for after, but no, I don't think so right now.
Okay, after. What do you mean?
Oh, well, I was
You
gonna
mean
ask you
privately?
about, yes, privately.
Okay. So you see that
Okay.
telephone number down there?
Yes.
888-888-6582.
Yes.
That number's 24/7. It's a hotline from my office. Just call and leave a message, and I'll get back to you.
Okay. Okay.
Sounds good. All right, Cherry,
Thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
coming on, and,
Thank you.
keep in touch. If you have any questions or anything, give me a call, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, if you wanna be on my office hours as a guest, you can email grace@vincentwdavis.com, or you can call that number on the screen, 888-888-6582, and ask for Grace. She'll call you back and try to get you on the show. Let me see if there are any questions for us today in the chat. Okay, Betty, is it Winderholt? Hope I pronounced that right. Why does the CPS caseworker have the right to put a child in foster care if there was a kinship available to take the child? All right. That's a very good question. And that question is like, what is the meaning of life? Okay. The law says the child should be with a relative or family friend. However, social workers make up many, many excuses why not to do that. One excuse is we haven't checked out the relative. We don't know if that relative's safe. An excuse that was being used on one of my cases recently was the relative is too closely aligned legally with the parent. Another excuse is the relative doesn't believe the allegations we're making against the parent. Another excuse is the minor doesn't like that relative, so we can't place the child there. There are many, many reasons. Some people allege, and I'm not sure one way or the other, that they do it for financial reasons, speculating that social workers in the counties get more money when the child's in foster care versus relative care. So I tell you, Betty, what the law is. Whether the social worker does it, that's a whole different conversation. And the important conversation is, if the social worker won't do it, what do you do next? Grace, if you remind me, maybe I can do a show on how to make a social worker give the relative of the child. Maybe you can have Betty come on and she can be the guest for that show. Okay, so the next one is Pink. Pink says, I'm going through this. They have no judge order. I need a lawyer. Pink, give us a call, 888-888-6582. Pink says, Judge gave me full custody. CPS is trying to take away that false allegations from my 13-year-old. They took them out of my chair. Must be care, even though non-judge's orders. Next step is a mandatory settlement. Pink, I'm a little confused by your comment and your question. If you have questions, call me, 888-888-6582. JD says, help, hello. How does one remove a restraining order against dad in California? Is there something specific to say or do? JD, to remove a TRO or a restraining order, you have to file some type of motion or 388 petition to terminate the restraining order against that dad. Okay, you just can't just show up and wave your hand. Hey, judge, would you take the restraining order off me? The judge will say no, and you will then think there's something wrong with our legal system. And what's wrong with it is it doesn't always use common sense. You're going to have to make a formal motion. You're going to have to notice everyone. You have to set it for a hearing so other parties can be present to argue with you or against you. JD, if the case, he says, like an RFO. An RFO is request for order that you file in family law court. It's in CPS court, they call it something different. You can call it a motion to terminate the restraining order, or you can file a 388 to terminate the ex parte order. JD says ex parte. Almost everything in DCFS court or CPS court is ex parte. It's short in notice, at least in Los Angeles County, California. What I think would happen is if you filed it at an ex parte, all the judge is going to do is set it for a full hearing, maybe in, a week to 2 weeks. All right. JD, if you have any further questions, give me a call, 888-888-6582. Okay, that's the end of office hours. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And again, if you want to be a guest like Cherry tonight, get your questions answered, call us, 888-888-6582, and ask for Grace. Good night, all.
Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Okay, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening, everyone. This is a question and answer session for school, SKOOL, and this is the CPS school.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Join our school community for free to access weekly live Q&A sessions, or participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.